Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever, whenever you are listening to this. Got to be really careful not to touch anything because I just realized the camera shook. And I'm actually recording this on a different software to what I've recorded my previous videos on. And it's very strange because it's not mirroring the screen, which is very bizarre because I'm used to it being back to front, so I don't know which way my hands are moving. But anyway, I hope that you can hear me well because I was holding the microphone in my previous videos as well, and I thought, well, it might be easier if I just don't hold the remote and the mic, and you might get less feedback. But it's been about a month since I've done my last update, so I thought I'd check in, give you the lowdown, give you the updates on what's been going on in life, some life lessons. This video was actually supposed to be about resilience, which we will come on to during this video. But as it happened when I was filming the video, I've actually already filmed this once, and I got about halfway through, and as I was doing it, it said that my memory was full on my computer because I'm actually filming these on my computer rather than on my phone. And yeah, I had to go through the archives and dig out some old hard drives, of which I'm just looking at them now. We have these hard drives. I also have another couple of hard drives floating around as well. But I basically had to remove about 100 gig of data from my laptop to free up some space to be able to record this in maximum quality for you guys. So hopefully this works, but it's a lesson in backing up all of your data on your computer. Actually, when I was backpacking, this is totally off piece, but when I was backpacking, one of my rule of thumbs was always, because when you take pictures on your phone, sometimes it gets corrupt, the file, and then your phone gets full and it lags the phone. So I always used to carry around like either two USB sticks or two external hard drives, and I would keep one in my backpack and one in my day pack. So that if anything ever got stolen, everything was always backed up, and I used to back everything up like on a daily, if not weekly basis to make sure that I had everything. Anyway, that was my lesson because the reason why I used to do that is because at one point I lost all of my videos. I lent one of my external USB sticks to someone and they never returned it, and I lost all of my videos, which was really, really gutting. So I learnt from that experience and I now have multiple hard drives. So, lesson for you, always back up your hard drives, right? Even if you think your computer's working fine, even if you think your phone is working fine, always be cautious. Anyway, this video was all supposed to be about resilience, not about my external hard drives, but that's just a life lesson. I don't know who needed to hear that today, but let's get cracking because it has been a whirlwind of a month for me. I've got to be honest. I think the last video that I did was actually before the Europa League final. Now, for those of you that don't know what the hell I'm talking about, you may or may not know that I am a massive football fan. I am a season ticket holder at Tottenham Hotspurs. I have followed them since I was about 8 years old, possibly even younger. First game I remember, I was in about like year 5 or year 6. So it's in the family, it's in the blood. Both my grandparents were Spurs fans. My father is a Spurs fan. My sister and my mum hate football. But yeah, for me, football is a massive, massive thing. And so this has been an emotional roller coaster for me over the last month because whether you watch football or not, you may not know that Tottenham won the Europa League Cup, which has been amazing. And I actually went out to Bilbao to watch the game, and it was the most amazing experience of my life. But it's also been an emotional roller coaster. So I actually filmed a video last week all about the manager of Tottenham Hotspur and how amazing he was, and how um, sometimes we don't think that things are going to come through for us, but actually, when we double down on certainty, it doesn't matter how it comes through, it will always come through, just maybe not in the way that you had thought or hoped or expected. And moving on a week from that, everything's changed because that manager got fired. So I wanted to speak to this piece around resilience and how this mirrors a lot around the Tottenham Hotspur season. Maybe this video is for you, maybe it's not, but I hope there's some nuggets of wisdom in here for you. But the reason why I wanted to talk about to this today is because it was a really split season for Tottenham Hotspur. And that's because as much as they won this trophy and everything was amazing and it was like the best week of my life, honestly. Like I got back. So I left on the Tuesday, game was on the Wednesday, flew back Thursday, went to the parade on Friday, recovered on Saturday, and then Sunday I went to the game. So it was just absolutely mental. And on the other side, there are 20 teams in the league. The bottom three get relegated, which means they go down to the next division. And Tottenham finished 17th, which is not great. So, in balance, we had these massive two extremes where things were going, I don't know which hand I'm using, but things are going amazing on the one hand, and on the other hand, things were not going so great in the Tottenham Hotspur world. And so, in true Tottenham Hotspur style, they decided to fire their manager before I could even post that video that I did all on resilience. And the point that I was making in that video is that sometimes we have a goal, we have an ambition, whether it's financial, whether it's life or otherwise. Maybe you're in a place where you're seeking just more certainty. Maybe you want to feel more at ease in your life. Maybe you just want to feel more at ease with money, with your decisions, without second guessing yourself, whether you want to take that holiday, how you're going to pay for it, whether you're going to the shops and you're feeling guilty about buying stuff, or maybe you do buy stuff and then you do feel guilty, right? So it can go either way depending on your money personality, which we've spoken about before. But my point is that sometimes life doesn't go the way that we actually thought it was going to. And so sometimes we have a goal, we have a dream, we have an ambition, like deep down, whatever you feel is meant for you, that is meant for you. And if you're here watching this, it's likely that you're the type of person who knows that you're not going to settle for the mediocre. If you're here watching this, you know that you are meant for amazing, great things in your life. But the challenge with that is that sometimes we face obstacles, just like Tottenham Hotspur did. We all face obstacles in our life, and unless we double down, like Ange Postecoglou, who's the Tottenham manager, or was the Tottenham manager, should I say, unless we double down and back ourselves, what can end up happening is all that outside noise, all the peer pressure, all of the naysayers, all of the it's particularly the people that are close to us, like our friends, our family. They'll be like, what do you think you're doing? Like, you can't do that, or that just seems impossible. So we just don't end up taking action at all. And it did just lag. And I was hoping that that wasn't what was going to happen. So I'm going to need to sort that out for my next video. But my point is that sometimes we double down on, we don't double down on stuff. And actually those outside noises and voices get to us, and we're like, actually, is this really meant for me in the first place? Rather than introspectively looking at ourselves and going, no, I know that this is for me. This was what I was brought here to do. This is the reason why I'm here and why we are on the right trajectory, right? So my point is that when we double down with certainty, when we double down with what our truest calling and desire actually is, and we take action towards that thing, it will always come through. It will always come through. Maybe not in the way that you'd imagined it, maybe not in the way that you'd hoped it would, but it always comes through. And how do we get to that place of knowing with certainty that something is actually meant for us? Well, first of all, when you ask yourself a question, your inner voice, your inner monologue, the first voice that you hear will always be the one of truth. The first voice you hear. What do I want to do with my business? First voice that you hear. What is my financial situation meant to look like? The first voice you hear is the most authentic voice that is your inner consciousness. The challenge is that we have layers and layers and layers of internal dialogue which holds us back from reaching that truest desire, which is essentially that primary initial thought that we actually have. So let me give you an example. I want to become a millionaire, right? Some people might say, do I really want to be a millionaire? Is that really what's meant for me? I don't think that's my true calling. Now, how are you supposed to know whether that is something that's meant for you or not? The path will reveal itself if it is in fact meant for you. And if it's not meant for you, it's likely that you won't even have that thought in the first place. Okay? You will not have a thought of something that is not meant for you. Let me explain this on a deeper level. If you're thinking about something that you want to achieve, where has that thought originated from? Where has that thought stemmed from? And this is obviously a rhetorical question. But when you really deep it, where does that initial thought, where does that thinking come from? Yes, you might have videos on your timeline or your feed or for your For You page, which is influencing your thoughts. But the reason why you're seeing that content in the first place is because you manifested it. It's because your echo chamber is your timeline is a reflection of your echo chamber of your internal thoughts. Oh my gosh, I'm mumbling my words. But I hope you know where I'm going with this. Your feed, your timeline, your For You page, it's all a reflection of your innermost thoughts. So if your inner dialogue is one that is negative, if it's one that thinks about scarcity, and it might not even be about money, it might be like about relationships, it might be about time, it might be about the ability to do certain things in your life, right? That thinking comes from somewhere, right? Every thought we have stems from that stream of consciousness. How we actually achieve something, or the distance between I want to be a millionaire and, let's say, actually achieving it, is going to be all this space in between, which is filled with thoughts. So what are those thoughts in between? Well, your initial thought might be, that's not meant for me. Or it feels so hard, I'm going to have to work really, really hard. I'm not capable of achieving that. And that's because our brain is thinking about the end point, I need to sort this video out. But our brain is thinking about the end point as opposed to the chunking down of steps along the way that's actually going to get us to be a millionaire, right? We don't wake up one day unless you've won the lottery. And invariably, if you have won the lottery or you know anyone that's won the lottery, they may or may not have given a lot of that money away because they don't think they're worthy enough of achieving it yet. And that's because the distance between these 2 points is actually the action, the thoughts that you have and the action that's then manifested, which is going to lead you along this journey to actually achieving that dream or goal of being a millionaire. So that might not necessarily mean that you have to work harder. It's just that your brain hasn't quite adjusted yet to the steps that need to happen in order to make that a reality. And so if we think it's going to be hard, guess what? It's going to be hard because our reality is a reflection of those manifestations of which we have in our mind. So if it's going to be hard, well, look, we're looking around us to prove that internal dialogue correct. Whatever you want, whatever you desire, the universe's answer is always yes. I want to be a millionaire. Universe response, yes. Obviously, if you've just borrowed someone else's why, and this is why it's really important to know your why. Why do you want to be a millionaire? Why do you want to have that money? And I believe I did some stuff on that a few videos back, which was about understanding your goals and how to set financial goals. And if you can't find it, then drop me a message or write in the comments and I can do another video on that. But we need to understand our why. And if we don't have a why or a purpose for what we actually want that money for, then in reality, it's just not going to manifest itself. Now, your starting point might not be linked directly to money, i.e., I want to be a millionaire. It might be linked to a sense of purpose. Maybe you know that you've had like vivid dreams, or maybe it's come to you, or you've had imagery going through your mind that actually you're meant to impact people in a certain way. Maybe you've had like a fleeting moment where you're like, oh, that's what my future's supposed to look like. And we might call that like a deja vu. It might just be like a remembering of who you were and who you are and what you came here to be in order to reach your highest potential. But what happens is all that stream of consciousness gets in the way, and it's like, well, who do you think you are? And then there's all these naysayers and AI and everything on social media that's like, who the hell do you think you are? And then our Instagram and our algorithms, or our TikToks or whatever, or even YouTube, it becomes part of the pathway that we create for ourselves. And so, in order to change the reality, we need to change the thinking, we need to change the intention behind it. So, let's say I want to become a millionaire. What are you going to do with that money? I'm going to help millions of people overcome, let's say, a lack of clean drinking water, or I'm going to help homeless people, or I'm going to help people with Alzheimer's, or I'm going to help people who can't afford food, or whatever it is that you want to help people. And I'm talking about beyond your immediate friends and family, beyond your immediate circles, because if you really tap into that intuitive voice that's saying, I want to be a millionaire, right? There's going to be a reason why behind it. And that in and of itself is enough of a purpose to actually go ahead and achieve it. Now, the way that we do that, whether we do it with ease, whether we do it with resistance, and I realize I've gone completely off piece. Oh, and they say that I don't have ADHD. Anyway, so depending how you view it, there's going to be all these voices and all these thoughts that come between the conception of the idea to actually executing it and making it happen. So, excuse me while I grab some water. So, the reason why this is so important is because we want to become more aware of the thinking that comes up for us when we actually say to ourselves, I want to become a millionaire, or I want to be financially successful, or I want to have less stress in my life, or I want to have more freedom in my life, or I want to feel less anxious, or maybe you have a health condition and you want to feel healthier, maybe you want to feel fitter. Whatever form that takes for you, it's possible to achieve. And this is why it goes back to the football analogy, because as much as perhaps one would say the ex-manager, which feels very weird to say, the ex-manager of Tottenham Hotspur, as much as he didn't have perhaps the most elite team to achieve the goal that he had set out for himself, he saw the vision, and when everyone laughed at him, and there's various memes and stuff online about this, he doubled down on his vision, and the vision manifested itself. Now, whether you can say that that was a collective thing, i.e., the institution that's Tottenham Hotspur, the players, the fans, the supporters, the people worldwide that watch it, or if it's one singular person who has this vision and everyone else has bought into it, it actually doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether there were people out there that didn't want him to succeed, because the people on the inside, the people that wanted to achieve it, were aware that this was the collective goal that people were working towards. And so it actually doesn't matter what other people think or say about your goal or your vision. Life is a movie for one. Life is a movie for you. That lag. That lag was very annoying. I wonder if that cut out. Anyway, life is a movie for one. Wow, this is like a 30 gig file. Okay. I don't know if I'm gonna. Let's see. Life is a movie for one. And it doesn't matter what other people say, it doesn't matter what other people think, there is always going to be resistance. There is always going to be resistance. And if there is no resistance, you are not on the right path. If you are not experiencing resistance, you're going in the wrong direction. It's as simple as that. Because when you are going in the right direction, you will need to lead with intentionality. You will need to lead with integrity. You will need to lead with certainty. You will need to take decisive action towards the goal that you actually want to achieve. And if you're not doing that and you're not feeling the resistance, then you are simply not growing. And the actions that you think you are taking are most likely misdirection. Now, should everything feel hard? No, it shouldn't. But we do face challenges in life, and it depends on our perception and our outlook of those challenges in how we actually overcome them. So people often tell me like I'm a really positive person, and that's because when bad stuff happens, I know that it's for the greater good. I know that it's pushing me towards something that's better or greater. And so I always ask the question, not why is this happening to me, because this is from victim mentality, but what is this trying to teach me? And this is the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And leading back to my Tottenham Hotspur analogy, sometimes things come through to us in a way that we least expected. This manager had set out and said, I always win trophies in my second season. I always win trophies in my second season. And guess what? He did it, despite having the club not achieved winning a trophy in 17 years. Now, that came at the sacrifice of something else. Because when we have to give all of our energy to something, we can 100% make it happen. But when we are divided, when we are split, we can't achieve it. We can't achieve something when our subconscious thinking is divided, right? It's like the mask. It's like let's say you meet someone and they seem like a really nice person, but something just feels off. You know what I mean? Like something just feels off. It's probably because they're not being truly authentic with who they are. That is different to meeting someone and deciding that you don't like them. It's okay to not like people. In fact, people who back themselves and move with certainty and move with grace and move with ease, they are the most decisive people because they are on a mission. And along the way of them achieving that mission, other people need to learn their lessons. That's not the lesson of the person who's working towards the goal and the vision. So let's say you have a business where you coach people. I don't know why I said coach, but okay, let's say you're a coach or a therapist or some kind of service provider. And let's say you're always getting no's. There is a lesson for you in that to perhaps learn integrity, to perhaps learn authenticity, to perhaps speak your truth, to perhaps show up in a different way, right? It's not necessarily that you haven't learned a specific tool and you have to go and do another qualification. And I think this is where people get misguided, right? We don't always need a a structured education system to tell us that we are good at what we do. We inherently already know that. But the way that we move with that, the way that we lead with that is what's going to resonate with people. Now, the people that come to you that perhaps say, oh, actually, this is not the right time, or you're not the right person for me. Yes, there's a lesson for you there, but there is a lesson for them there as well. And there is a reason why you have crossed paths at that point, because there is a lesson to be learned for everyone, whether we understand it from our human perspective or not, right? Because we know that there is energy that's circulating in the background. So I realize I've already spoken for 25 minutes. How did that happen? And how is this a 30 gigabyte video? This will be the last video that I do in this quality. But anyway, my point is that we need to move through the resistance that we feel. Persistence beats resistance every single time. And maybe you've heard this before, maybe this is a reminder for you, but if you're watching this, there's a reason why this video has been shown to you, as I've said before. So yeah, emotional roller coaster this week. Lessons to be had are: know your vision, know your goal, know your dream, know your why, and then take action towards that. And by doing so, you are going to overcome all those resisting thoughts and internal dialogue that is putting you off from actually achieving the thing that you are meant to be here to achieve. So I wish you all an amazing week ahead. I hope that my next video, I shouldn't say I hope, the next video won't be this long. But if you have found some kind of nugget or gem in this, then please do drop me a message. As always, I do love to hear from you. And one of the reasons why I'm doing these YouTube videos, I know they're a little bit messy, but I guess the point is that the world now is so filled with so much AI. Honestly, my timeline on Instagram has been overtaken by these AI videos. And it is scary how good this AI stuff has got. So just to let you know, this is me. Hi, there is no AI generation. As you can probably tell from the way that I'm speaking to you, this is not perfect. This is imperfect, and this is the whole point, right? We take imperfect action towards the goals that we actually want to achieve, and that is where the best things are going to come through to us. So I will see you all in my next video.